Okay, hi everybody. Welcome to another episode of Get Into It with Gila. I'm Gila Glassberg, and today I have Miriam Marciano. Hi, Miriam.
Hi, I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited to finally have you on. This is
Just
like a few month attempt.
yes, it's
Yeah,
been a while in the works.
yeah. Maybe we'll talk. Maybe we'll talk about that a little bit more. But tell the listeners like, where do you live? What do you do? And just a little bit about yourself.
So I live in Far Rockaway, New York. I am a personal stylist. There are many names for it. People sometimes call themselves image consultants when they do what I do.
Hmm.
I happen to like personal style because I don't think anyone else is using it right now. So
Yeah, I don't know anything about like the world of fashion or styling. So like I have no idea. Like to me, you're like the only person in the whole world that does this. But I know you're not, but that's what I feel like.
I thought the same thing when I started, and then I started Googling, and I realized there's a whole world of this, and it's there are many people who do this, but not, everyone does it differently and
Right.
everyone has their own way. So basically, what I do is I help women find their style and um, build their confidence through their style and clothing so that when they wake up in the morning, getting dressed should not be stressful. It should be easy. They should have looks that they know look amazing on them right away. And they should feel confident throughout the day wearing what they're wearing because they know that they're amazing.
That's awesome. And I'll say right off the bat that we worked together. You came to my house, we did the closet edit, and it was awesome. And I really enjoyed. I also will say that there's definitely like um a controversy in the like say in the intuitive eating health at every size world that like a stylist or somebody who's trying to find the clothes that fit your body type the best, or like there's a lot of words about like flattering or hiding the belly, like people are like up in arms about it, which I hear on the one hand. I wasn't even gonna like I was gonna segue more into this later because I really want to hear like how you came to be a stylist, but I just want to, I'm just bringing this up in the beginning because I feel like it's such an important topic and it's something that we've spoken about so many times. But
Yeah.
first, okay, so did you know that you always wanted to be a stylist?
Totally not. I started out as a clothing designer. I had my own fashion brand. And then during, like, while working in fashion and like speaking with many women, I would get questions like, do you think this will look good on me? Look, this is my body. Now, like, now that you saw my body, like, do you think this dress is for me? And so many questions like that kept on coming up. And because of that, I started doing a lot of research into body shapes and what types of clothing flatter different body shapes. That's really how it started. And I became like really um, enchanted by the whole like art science behind fashion and clothing and like, like the balance and the proportions that people work with, just like interior design. There's a symmetry looks beautiful. And when you put certain colors together, that looks beautiful. There really is a science to it. So it's the same thing when we put ourselves together. Like the way that I work with personal style is God gave us inherent beauty, and it's in our coloring and in our body. When we work with the coloring that we have and we match our clothing to our own coloring and the color of our clothes to our coloring, and when we match the shapes and the silhouettes to our bodies, it really brings out the best in us. So that's where like the whole flattering thing comes from.
Right. But like as a teenager, were you into fashion? Like was that like a passion of yours or it just came to be because like you know so much about it?
Yeah, I mean, maybe it was like a hidden passion. Like I never spoke about it. It wasn't a conversation. I never loved shopping. Like I'm not into the whole like shopping therapy thing. I don't like retail therapy. I never went to the mall just to go shopping. No.
I hate
Um,
shopping.
I don't even like shopping either, which is so funny because now I do it for a living. But I just always like had a good eye for what looks good, and I always like put myself together very well. I would always get like compliments like, "Oh, you just like know how to dress."
Hmm. Hmm.
And it just comes really easily to me and naturally. And I definitely have an appreciation for it for sure. And I
Hmm.
know that I'm good at it. I know that it's a strength, but is it a passion? No, I think my passion really lies in helping women find their own like style with it and like curating a wardrobe for them that works for them and seeing their confidence rise because of it.
Right. So the way that we met was that we were in a mastermind together, like trying to like move forward in our businesses. We met from To
Right.
Be Gross, and so I was doing my private practice and you were building your clothing line, really, right? And then that evolved into the styling. And then what's interesting to me is that like you don't seem like a very materialistic person, and that like that never came through in your styling. So like, and like even when you came to my house, like that was like we worked through the clothes, but like underneath all of that, like I think that something that you like really crystallize is that like it's not that you're so into clothing and materialism. That's not
Right.
like who you are as a person. It's just that it happens to be like you have a knack for it, you have like the eye for it, but like your real passion is like you want to see a woman thriving. You want to see a woman like connecting to their internal or external beauty and them like feeling good about themselves.
100%. And it's so interesting that you said that. Like, okay, you mentioned Sippy and the masterminds. It was Sippy who came up with the idea because as we were like talking, and I was like, we went way back, like into my life, and it was like a whole like cheshbon hanefesh of like, like really like what am I good at? What is like what comes easily to me, and what do I love? And it was a combination of like everything that like I'm like made of, and and then she's like, why don't you do that? Like, why don't you help women with their clothing and their style one on one? And I didn't know personal styling at that point, but I was like, I don't know, like I know I own a clothing line and I know I design clothing, but that just sounds so shallow. Like
Right, right.
I can't see myself like doing that and becoming known for that.
Mm-hmm.
Like I'm so much deeper than that. I like to think that I'm like, a spiritual person, and like way more so than a physical person.
Right.
And um I had a hard time like overcoming that first, and I had to overcome that obstacle of like seeing myself as that person. But when I think about the women that I've worked with that were so happy after, and it's like a life-changing experience, that's what gets me going, and that's what like makes me want to continue and like get better at what I do and like become like super incredible at it.
But totally, like I just to parallel that with like what I do as a dietitian, like I know that for a long time, like there was a time period for me where I was like, okay, should I do like the cooking route? Should I do like the really tedious like food part? And I was like, I'm just like such a deep person, at least I see myself like that, that like it just didn't, even though I would love to like cook for people, and I have done that like before I started doing intuitive eating. I actually cooked for somebody, like did their meal planning
Wow.
for them. Yeah. And it was like a lot of physical, deciding and tallying up the calories, which I totally don't do now. But like, I
Right.
was just like, even like, I see like people who make a career out of like food, which I love food and I'm such a foodie, but like, I love like the depth behind the food, like why we eat what we eat. And, so like, I relate to your business so much because like, if you look at it from like on a surface level, it's like, oh, she does clothing. Right. And like, especially me, like, I'm so not, I feel like I don't have like that knack for clothing. I grew up out of town. Like it wasn't like something at all emphasized in my house. And I just don't possess that knack for it, that type of stuff. So like, it was just like, I happen to think it was a really nice experience. Like when you came to my house and like, I'm not making a pitch for you, but I kind of am, but I'm just saying like, you have that knack for like, you're not like, I think we were talking a little bit about this before with like, let's say like hiding the belly or flattering, like people might see that as like, oh, she only works with like skinny women, or she only works with, and that's like not true at all. Like you've said so many times, like you like working with plus size women, like you like they're beautiful, everybody can be beautiful, and like finding
Yeah.
the clothes that fit, that you know shape you, that work with your body, like that helps you feel beautiful.
Size plays like zero part in what I do. The only thing, like the only area that size comes in, I need to know measurements in order so that the clothing fits them beautifully, because fit is a huge part of it.
Right,
But when a garment fits well, you could look like $1 million. If
right,
it's too baggy or if it's too tight, it
right,
detracts from it totally. So
right.
size does not, like beauty does not equate like with size. It's not at all. But yeah, when you talk about like hiding the belly, I mean, I just like my personal experience is I don't like when my belly hangs out. I have 4 C-sections, thank God. And it's something I'll probably always like have, and I'm totally fine with it. But I definitely feel better myself when I'm tucked in. So I know that not everyone feels that way. I know like the whole like there's a culture now that's like your scars are beautiful and your rolls are beautiful and your flab is amazing and let it all show. And everyone has like this is also like it has nothing to do with size. Every woman that I know has And some people feel better when they do cover it up, or when they like highlight, their face and highlight aspects that they love of their body and then hide others. And that's fine and healthy as long as you're good with that.
Right.
If you want to go the other way and, like embrace everything and let everything show and shine, that's also beautiful. I really feel like everyone should go the way that they like. The whole point of this is to feel confident. So
Right.
whichever way makes you feel more confident is the way to go. I understand because I myself know, I feel better when like things that I don't feel so good about are hidden, and I'm totally okay with that.
Right.
And I still feel good about myself, like knowing that. But if one doesn't, then like they shouldn't,
Right.
absolutely.
Right. I think that, I guess there's like a fine line also with Instagram. Like people see things and they like to attack other things, and they say if things happen to be black and white on Instagram because you don't know the person, you don't know the context, you don't know the nuance. But and I think like people always tell me this, that I really try to be in the middle between I fully embrace intuitive eating, health at every size, all those things. I just happen to not be so aggressive about it. Like let's say somebody's coming from like way into diet culture, they're not just going to switch into intuitive eating even if they want to. But even more than that, it's not like intuitive eating is like you have to do it this way and must be this way. Like if there's something that you feel better about, like in a certain garment or a certain type of style. But I think it is important that like you differentiate between like, okay, this is what makes me feel good and that's what makes me feel good. I don't think you have to say like, I want to show every single part of my body. Like, I don't think that's true at all. I just think that you have to know, like, I guess your intention. Like, I want to wear this because it makes me feel good because of this, not like only to hide, right? Like, I don't think you don't have to like accentuate everything, but like, I do think that on some level there's like a diet culture aspect to like always trying to like hide our flaws. Not that you have to like highlight your flaws, what's considered a flaw anyways, like
100%. Most women that I work with, first of all, have body image issues.
right,
Um, and there's varying extents. There's a spectrum. But also, I'll never tell someone, aside from balancing, I'll balance because many women have a hard time understanding like what should be balanced. And balance is definitely like part of like symmetry and proportion. So like I'll help them with that. But I will never ever tell anyone like that should be hidden
right,
or that should be minimized. I always ask them, like, what are you self conscious about? Like, when they talk to me and they tell me what their like issues are, then I'll work with it. If their belly is an issue to them, then we'll make sure to hide it.
mhm.
But I will like never come into a situation and be like, okay, not that. And you know what I mean? No.
No, no,
But that's what I do. Like I build confidence. If she feels bad about her belly, or if she feels bad about her whatever it is, then I'll work with that through clothing. Like
right,
it's not a rule book and it's not written in stone. It is, like formatted for each individual. And it's the same with a makeup artist. If someone says like I want my eyes to be bigger,
right,
it doesn't mean that she has flawed eyes,
right.
but she likes big eyes. So like they'll do their best to use white eyeliner and black, and I don't know what they do, but it's the same type of art.
So are your clients, I know I was surprised when you came to my house and I was like, she's for sure gonna come into my closet and make me get rid of everything. I had that concept in my head, like I don't know how to dress and like things don't look good on me. I don't know, whatever, my own insecurities. And you were like, oh, you did great. Like this looks good and try it this way. Like are women surprised that you have such a positive energy? Like are they also thinking like she's gonna come in and tell me like I look horrible, change this, hide this? Like do you get that a lot that they're
Yeah,
surprised?
yeah, and yes, I do. It's true. Uh,
Like
well,
what's a typical reaction?
it's usually like first of all, I won't take like everything away ever. Like there's so many things that usually could be worked with. Sometimes it's a fit issue, and sometimes like they'll need a replacement if like it really is old. But oftentimes, many things are good and could be kept or made better with another garment to put on, or a belt or a jacket, or something else, and like voila, they have a whole new outfit that they never would have thought of on their own.
Right.
But um yeah, it's funny. I mean, we always start with the wardrobe, and oftentimes the pieces that they have are good and we get rid of some and keep some. Yeah.
Right. Also, like you were saying before about like this size, if it's too baggy, it doesn't look good. If it's too tight, it doesn't look good. Like one of the things we did was like, I always say this to clients. Like, oh, I think I say it every single time. Go find a good seamstress because like we're so used to, I mean, we had an experience together where we went into a store and like nothing fit me, like nothing fit me. And it was so frustrating. Like, why does nothing in this entire store fit me? And I know like you're a big like proponent of like, let's go to the seamstress, like we could take this out, we could change this. And like we did that with a lot of clothing. Like we took a dress that did, I thought like fit me, and you're like, the sleeves are too big. Like, let's just make the sleeves a little shorter. Like it's too much dress. Like I never would have thought of that. But like people, I always tell clients, like when they walk into the store, they're like, nothing fits me, I'm wrong. I'm like,
Right,
why can't it just be like that clothing needs to be like, I told you this, that like in Christy Harrison's book, Anti-Diet, she said like 100 years ago, there was no such thing as mass produced clothes with sizes. And we walk into the store, everything was tailor made. So there was no, that in and of itself adds to such poor body image. Because when you walk into a store and nothing fits you, you
right,
just feel so terrible. It makes you
right.
feel terrible.
It's horrible. Yeah. Yeah. It's horrible. I mean, I don't know, like I don't know what to say. Like I can't like defend brands, or and I can't defend the store, but they need, like, everyone needs to know that clothing is not made for them.
Right,
It's made for the one person, the fit model that was fitted for the item,
right,
and it's totally standardized. So clothing is not supposed to fit off the rack. You're supposed to get something that fits like a part of you, and then
right.
the rest of it fit to you, and then it will be perfect and beautiful, you know?
I
So it's
think that's important. I think that's really important when you shop. Like if you have that seamstress that like any like, I always think, now I think about this. It used to be that I would shop and I would buy things that like kind of looked good and I would be like never wear it because I didn't like the way it looked. But
right.
now it's like if you save that money and you buy the things that are more expensive and you take it to the seamstress, like okay, like it's way more expensive, but like then you're actually gonna wear it, you know?
And you have it for a while. Yeah.
Right, right. So it's like really important. Um, so wait, I was gonna I was also gonna ask you, so I forget what I was gonna say about that. 1 second. Anyways, okay. So wait, so tell us how you decided to like switch your focus um from the like the clothing to like your clothing line to now like you work with people one-on-one. Like how did you make that shift in your business if you're comfortable to share?
Yeah, no, sure. So well, I'll share. Okay, so the clothing, will go way back. It started, I wanted to make modest t-shirts, like many years ago, before there were so many modest brands out there. And when I mentioned the idea to my father and my sister, my father was like, "Oh my gosh, go for it, do it." So I spent a long time like trying to figure out how to manufacture them. And by the time I was living in Baltimore at the time, and I saw a manufacturer downtown over there, but it wasn't the right time. And then I tried again once I moved back to New York. And then, like, my idea shifted into something else, and it became like sweatshirt dresses and a
That was
sweater.
your idea? Was that your original? Like now that's a big thing, but was that?
That was the original was t-shirts, but then it was also like winter season.
Mhm.
Uh, and so then it became like the sweatshirt dress, this with the diamond print, it became super popular. We ended up doing it over like many seasons. But retail is really hard. And like people may have told me that, but like, I don't know. I always think like, yeah, I'll be fine. Like, it's fine, you
You have a
know?
lot of you have a lot of confidence, and also you have like an entrepreneurial like edge, right? Like you always want to be an entrepreneur.
An entrepreneurial spirit.
Yeah. No, but I mean
um,
like, right? You always want to be an entrepreneur.
I definitely like, I get bored.
Right.
I can't like be at a day job for too long. Like I need
Right.
something new. Like what's next? Like how do we change this? I'm very creative, so yeah, definitely an entrepreneurial spirit for sure. As
Right.
far as
Because
business benefits, I'm still learning.
well, you're like you're a trained speech therapist, which is like I guess like
I right. Yeah, I am. I'm a speech therapist, and even that, like I was very bored.
right.
I learned Spanish, and then I just did bilingual Spanish evaluations for preschool students because, like, the therapy. I give a lot of credit to speech therapists that give therapy. It was
Hmm.
not.
Right.
And that was interesting because evaluations are like you come in once, you see the child, like you're able to like diagnose and like see what's wrong, and then create goals for them. And also like writing, so I wrote the reports. That was not an issue. And then I got bored of that. So
I totally relate to what you're saying because I feel like that's just in and of itself an entrepreneurial spirit because like no 2 days look alike. Which
Right.
sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, like yesterday I did this and today I did this, but like if you get bored, you just get bored. Like there's nothing to say about it. Like you
I
just
know. The boredom is, it's awful. Like when you just sit there and look at the clock. I mean,
awful.
yeah, there are many days now, and I'm like, what do I do? I like, I sit down and I'm like, okay, let's write a list, you
Right,
know?
right.
Yeah.
Wait, so go back. So wait, one second. When you said that the diamond print dress was super popular, how did that even become popular? Was it through Instagram? Like how did you get your
Yeah.
name out?
So Instagram is like, is, I mean, like it is a free, it's an opportunity that is free for businesses to market. And if you do it the right way, it like spreads like wildfire. So we did influencers, we gained a lot of followers that way.
Mm.
And then also the diamond print was, it happens to be a very flattering print because it goes in at the waist. So it creates this waist, even though the dress was like straight. So that's also like kind of like people were like, oh my gosh, it's like, it's just so flattering. So that's like that was like part of like the snowball effect that brought me here. But I hated the retail part. I
Hmm.
hate it. I'm partners with Sarah, my sister, who's amazing and like the sweetest person ever. And she dealt with the customer service and the pick and pack and the shipping. But even so, I hated having a stock room with merchandise sitting there until it's sold and selling it and selling it. I actually have new products coming out soon. I mean, like this week.
Oh, I can't wait. What is it?
I'm still going, but I'm also morphing it into something else. And I don't know like when like it will be what I want it to be, but what I want it to become is, now that I'm working with women who sometimes like, when I create what when I decide like what their wardrobe should be, I'll have a shopping list of the things that they're missing in their closet. And then when I
Mhm.
go and find them, I can't find them in Modest. And that's an issue. Or like I could, but like they need work. And so what I want my brand to become is a clothing line that is like that are the products that are really like they're flattering and they're basic and modest. But it's not there yet.
Like you mean like the basic pieces that everyone needs in their closet that are
Yeah,
modest.
right.
So that's your
And
next project,
yeah,
along with
but I'm
the
not
private.
done that yet. I needed Tippy to tell me like, stop. You're
Right,
one person.
right.
And you can't do everything. And I got down, as you know, when we like first. I'm just gonna put this out there now.
Go for it.
When we planned to do the podcast, I don't know, it was about a month ago. It was before the end of COVID,
Before
and
Yom yeah.
I was really down and feeling very bad about myself because I was doing way too much and I was not able to juggle it all. And you are an amazing, amazing therapist, and we got
Thank
like that
you. I'm not a
amazing.
real therapist, but I'm not a trained therapist. Everyone should know that.
It wasn't intuitive eating, but it was like
Right,
literally therapy. And you helped me realize that the success of all of the things that I was trying to do is not equal to my worth.
right,
So
right.
yeah, and so I really had to like mentally let go of some of the things that I was doing and focusing on things that I see success for Hashem from already, and I need to like focus on those things and make them better, and then add with another project. Like I can't continue to do all these things at once.
It's so interesting. I feel like this is so interesting for like listeners to hear. Like I hope that they're still listening. And at 28 minutes in because like I think people don't really what?
Maybe we should have started with this, but I don't think I would have
No. I think
been
it's
in the
no, I
beginning.
just think it's important for people to know like the behind the scenes of any business, especially like let's say like young from women that they watch on Instagram, right? Like I think somebody just recently on Instagram was talking about how somebody wanted her to post like, can you please post this person to daven for? And she's like, she made this whole speech about how she can't like do that for every single person, even though she's an influencer and even though so many people would see it, like people aren't going to stop watching her business page if it's always about like Tehillim, you know? And
Yeah,
like I told her, I was like, it's so important that you said that because like we don't understand the background of like
right.
what you're doing. And like you and I, like when we were in the mastermind together, I think it was a year and a half ago, maybe it was right, was it right before COVID? I think it was right before COVID.
Yeah,
And um and we both had so many times we were like, we're such losers. Nobody's gonna, I mean, I don't know if you ever did that, but I was like, I was there. That's where I was like a year and a half ago. No one's gonna want to listen to me. No one's gonna want to buy my stuff. And like, you just feel so down. And it's so similar to like how my clients feel, let's say, about like their weight and their eating, because we tie so much to our worth, right? Like our
Right.
success in business, our whatever, our popular, like let's say with Instagram, like we always talk about this, like on Instagram, like if you're just using Instagram for your business, you have to have like a really strong boundary with that, because like if
Yeah.
people aren't liking your post, you just feel like such, it really makes you feel like such a loser. And then like you just end up spiraling, like what happened to you like a few weeks ago, where you were like, I always tell you this, like I want you to do like this event, and like you're so confident, like you exude positivity, and like we are our worst enemies, where we're like, I mean, I've done this a million times. People ask me to speak, people ask me to do things. I'm like, I can't do it. Here's my friend's number. Like, and then I go to sleep and I like, what was I like? This is literally my job description. Like, this is what I do on my website, but like, I somehow, doubting myself. So like, I think it's important for people to hear that, like, we all get down on ourselves. We all have those moments, but like, we also need people in our lives to be like, wait, what's driving this? Like, what's making you doubt yourself so much that you're feeling paralyzed?
Right. Oh my gosh, so many things that you brought up. First of all, okay, I'll start with this. After our conversation about like, okay, my self worth is really not tied to these things, and like your self worth is not tied to your weight, and your self worth is not tied to whatever it is that you think it is that's getting you down. I think you have to like do some introspection and say like, what is my self worth tied to?
Right, right,
What
right,
should I feel like? What makes me feel good about myself? That is my self worth, or I don't know how to word this. Like, what should I see my self worth as? And
right. If it's not my business, what is connected to
what
it?
is it?
Right.
What do you think the answer is?
No, I think that that's such a good point for you to say, because like so many times we not, I'm really not a therapist, and I just happen to have developed some counseling skills through my business of being a dietitian, and through my supervision, and through all my research and stuff. And when it comes down to it, is like we always have to ask ourselves like, why are we doing the things that we're doing? What's driving it? And like, yes, there is so much like your inner child, and I believe in all that. There's so much that happened in your childhood that like I've always told you, like you're naturally a very confident person. It was odd for me to see like that, whereas I'm naturally a very insecure person. That's just part of my struggle in life. And I just accept that, and that's part of what I work on daily. But I think that I think that I think I have to think about what my self-worth is before I answer that here on this podcast. And I think everyone has to think about what their self-worth is, right? Like,
I think to each
okay,
person.
so right, like if it's not my weight, which I've always been told it was my weight, or if it's not my business, which that has given me so much self-worth,
Right.
right?
It
Or it's
does.
not.
Especially I think for men, like they are, I think their whole self-esteem, I think, is tied to their business. I mean, I know it's because, especially if they're the primary breadwinner in the family, then that's, which
Right,
is really a horrible, horrible thing, because then when businesses fail, they fall apart. So it's
right.
so important, I think, really, for people to do this work and like figure it out.
Right. Actually, you just reminded me, it's so random, but I just recently found the new podcast called, I think it's called Olam Hamidos by Rav Don Kestamam, who I heard about from the Meaningful People podcast. And I'm going on another tangent, but my friend was asking me last night, how do you hear all these podcasts and books? I'm like, well, when you listen to one podcast, tell you about another. Okay. So I think he has a book called, or some sort of podcast on the concept of running after the right kavod, right? So when we think of kavod, we think of like, which is honor, we think of like they say, like you should never go after honor, right? Or like the more you don't go after honor, like it runs after you, something like that. There's some sort of Gemara that says that. And I've always been, I guess there's nuance in everything, right? I've always been so curious about that, because like as Jews, or as just people who value life, like we believe that we have some sort of kavod, honor, right? Like a human being, Jewish or not Jewish, doesn't matter. Like a human being is deserving of kavod and respect, right? So his whole thing is that he does talk about how like things can give you kavod that are important for you to have, because like obviously you have to have, this is such an important thing. I really should write a blog about this, that you have to have self-worth, right?
Yeah.
There are those people who, I guess they misinterpret this whole concept of kavod and being humble and humility, and they think like they're nothing, they're disgusting, right? But we know, let's say like Moshe Rabbeinu, like I don't know I'm talking about this, but he was like very humble, but he also knew his self-worth, right? So we have to, like you just said about men and their jobs, right? Like if no, your whole self-worth shouldn't be your job and your business, and it shouldn't be the way that you look, and it shouldn't be your parenting, but there are combinations of your self-worth that do have to do with that. And it is important to draw from those things because you're such a multifaceted, we're also multifaceted, that we have to remember that as human beings, like we have inherent self-worth, and we do also have things that tie into our self-worth. Does that make
Right.
sense?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Right.
So if you don't know your self-worth and you think it has only to do with your business, and then your business crashes, yeah, you're
You're
gonna
done.
have no, but like sometimes that happens in life. Hashem wants you to dig deeper and be like, it never had anything to do with your business, right? But if we don't, now is a time to like actively, and maybe that's even what happened to you like a month ago, right before like Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, like that
Yeah.
introspection.
I reevaluated, and you know what? I got the Michael Hyatt planner,
Mm-hmm.
focus planner, and part of it is that after the week you talk about. I mean, you write down like your five biggest. Like your five biggest like wins, let's say, from last week. And I started writing them down. None of them were business related. None
Wow.
of them.
Oh,
They were all like having to do with like motherhood and like having to do with the way that I reacted to a situation. Because like things happen to you and you can't control the things that happen to you, but the thing that you can control is how you react. So
right.
um, when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, that's so interesting. Like my business is not even on there, and it all has to do with like the things that really are important to me. And maybe I was only able to write those things. Maybe only like those things came naturally. Maybe after I like sat and thought about it. I don't know.
It's really interesting. I think because I think what's interesting for me is, at least what's coming up for me is like in that mastermind that we spoke about like a year and a half ago. And I think that this is like the coolest part about being an entrepreneur. And what I love about it is that like you can't separate your business from your life. So like a lot of times in the mastermind, it would be like things come up about our kids, right? Like we're trying so hard to work on our business, but like our kids come home from school at X time, and like, okay, so like part of my business strategy this week is that from 3 to 5, I'm not working. I'm not looking at my phone, because you just become so
Yeah,
fragmented.
yeah,
So it's true, because like when you're thriving as I mean, I don't know if it's true for everyone. I have to really think about this, but like when you're thriving as a mother, can you be thriving in your business? It probably goes hand in hand.
yes. I mean, again, I think there are so many things to what you said. Like there, like the work-life balance
Right.
is really hard, and time plays a big part of it. Like when you set aside like chunks of time for your kids and chunks of time for your work, that makes a very big difference. um,
Right.
but yeah, you could definitely excel at both 100%. For me, it wasn't that I didn't have wins in the business that week, because I did. And I still like what was like coming to me like in the flow of writing it was like that, like my daughter had a tantrum last week and I handled it so beautifully. Like I never in my life handled a tantrum that way, and it ended so quickly because of it. And
Can
I
you
was
teach us?
what?
Can you teach us?
Sure. She's very strong-minded. She's adorable and delicious and very strong-minded. And it was just like brewing inside of her. Like I saw, like if it wasn't one thing, it was the next, until like finally the tantrum came out. And it
Right.
was time to go to school, and I had to go meet a client after. So like I needed her to be in school then.
Right.
So we were walking, and she was like she wasn't walking, like her feet were glued to the ground. And I knew she just needed time, but like I didn't have that time.
Right.
I said to her, I was like, okay, um, I let it go. And I said, like, I know you're really upset. I know that this happened, and I know that you're really upset. And we just need to go to school now. And she said, I don't want my teacher to see my angry face.
Oh,
I know, it was so cute. So I was like, okay, you need some time for your angry face to go away. And I really want to give it to you, but I don't know what to do, because I have to go to work in 10 minutes, and you still need time to get over your tantrum. I don't know what to do. And like after that, I don't know, it like melted away for her. Like I think I showed her that like I understand, like I'm meeting you where you are, but
mm-hmm.
I also have this issue, and I wasn't upset at all. I didn't have any anger in my voice, it was like so calm. And she got over it. And she like
Wow.
slowly started walking and then gave me a hug and it was over.
That's so beautiful.
It's
I love that. No, I really do. I think it's good for everyone to hear this. So like, like, I mean, there's 100 things I could say about this. That our sense of calm carries over to our kids, which carries over to our business, which carries over to everything.
yeah,
Also just like allowing space for painful feelings, right? Like that's like a huge one.
yeah, yeah.
Um, but yeah, like I guess I think I listened to a book a long time ago about like how work-life balance is not really like that. It's like, I guess it depends on your work, but like especially nowadays in 2021, where like your business is on Instagram and your whole life is kind of on Instagram, not your life, but like you can't, it's not really work-life balance. It's like, how does your work, how does everything fit into your life? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I guess this is like a really interesting conversation in general, but like, let's say with like the Yom Tovim, right? Like, I try not to work the whole Yontif, but there was a part of me that was like missing. I felt
Right.
a sense of like loss for me because like
You love it.
I love what I do.
Yeah.
But at the same time, we talked about that. I'm like, I didn't feel like posting. Nothing was inspiring me. I had a really tough Yontif, it happens to be, and I don't want to show up. I don't want to show my whole life on Instagram. I don't think that's appropriate. It's not appropriate for me. Um, and also like I try to bring a lot of positivity to my page, even if I'm not always feeling positive.
Right.
So I think that's really like fitting your life into your work, like especially with a business that you do show a lot of your life. Like, but anyways, like also with like the kids, like my kids were off for so many weeks. Like I wanted to work, but I
Right.
couldn't work because like somebody needed to be the mother. So like that's just a challenge of what we do.
I know. It's really hard when you love what you do so much and it really is a huge part of you and it's part of your core. It really is. And
Right.
so are your kids. So there's like, okay, like the hours that you set aside, but it's also like your need. You do have a need to work. It's like one of your things that you need to do in your life.
Right.
Not everybody has that. So,
No,
and
not everybody has that. It's
has that at
interesting.
all. I
Right.
know. For you, it's like really part of your mahut.
But you also.
It is. I need to. I like
Right.
because like we said before, like I get bored. Like I need to have a
Yeah.
project that I'm working on in order to
Right.
be happy because I'm so creative. I need that for myself. Otherwise, like I'm bored and
I'm definitely a creative also, which I never thought of because I'm not like artistic at all. Even though I love art, I love to watch people draw and like I love doing art. I'm just like, I guess that's only one form of creativity, but I love to write and I love to come up with ideas and like those things
you are
fill me.
absolutely
But you were saying before about like how like my job's important, but my kids are important. Of course, like our deepest core, at least for me, is like my deepest core is my family. But like I'll just say this, like my own therapist has given me a lot of validation that like I'll probably never be one of those mothers that sit on the floor and want to play Lego.
neither will
And
I.
that's just not me. And she's like, I don't really know that many people who want to play Lego. But like she made me feel better because I feel like there's so much of that like push, like you should really sit on the floor and like play Lego and like enjoy yourself. Like I just don't ever. That will never happen, you know?
I never. I mean, like I told you this before. I never had mom guilt.
Right.
When I had like when I got 18 months, I would send my kids to daycare, and I knew like they were well taken care of, they were well fed. There are kids there, there are toys there, they're singing, they're davening. I'm not doing any of that with my kid at
Right.
home. Like she'll eat,
Right.
and there are toys on the
Eventually. Right. Right. Right.
floor. So
No,
like
that's good.
yeah, but so like I never felt guilty, but I do feel guilty if like now when I'm home and my kids come home from school and those are the hours that they need my attention, I need to put my phone away. And if I'm on it and like they're like, oh, you're on your phone,
Right.
that makes me feel guilty.
Right. Right.
Because it's 100% quality over quantity.
Yeah.
And no, I was never that mother that sat on the floor. I mean, I did. I sat on the floor and played Lego, but I definitely did not love it.
Right.
Um,
Those moms are so lucky that love Lego.
I
They are. Those
know.
lucky moms. Where are you? Teach us.
Right.
Well, you're taking class course. I took Sima Spentner's course, and she said like 10 minutes of quality time per kid. And she said it doesn't have to be alone time. It just has
Right.
to be like that you're focusing on that kid. And like I will just say for the moms who have kids like around my age, like my daughter's 8 and my two sons 6 and 3, like Shayna and I, we started doing a puzzle together, which I happen to really enjoy. And like we do Sudoku together. And that was like fun for me to find like she said it should be mutually enjoyable, meaning also the mom enjoys. Like if you're sitting there like grinning and bearing it, like it comes off to the kid. Like I
Right.
think that that's a part of my whole self-care like mantra is that like that's such a great idea. Like to find something like if you like art, if you like
That's
we
so,
did huck rug, yeah,
I love that. Yeah.
yeah,
It's a great idea.
yeah. This was a really fun conversation. We should do like another episode on like parenting while you're
Oh, there's
entrepreneur, like
so much. And Instagram. That's like a
and
whole
Instagram.
conversation in and of itself.
That's another whole conversation that I like don't know how I feel about Instagram right now. Like I'm in that like I don't even know what to say because it's like
That's
such a
like your relationship with it is constantly evolving, you know?
it's so true. I was watching last night a live with Rachel Tuckman and Danielle Renov, and she was like, Danielle was like, I hate Instagram because it was like being slow. She's like, no, I love Instagram. And I'm like, it really is like that love, hate, like it's like you said before, it's like free platform, but like it literally could take like I'm like, I only use Instagram for my business. No, I don't. When you
Right.
type something into the search page, things come up. I'm like, I don't want to see that. I don't want
Right.
to hear that. But like it's so hard to have that boundary. And I was also going to say, I was going to say before that I always tell like clients or people who I'm talking to, like if they're starting their own business, something that I learned is that like every person, this is so about like intuitive eating, intuitive living. Every person has like a time in the day, like a 2 or 3 hour time chunk where they feel most capable of using their mind. Right. Like for some moms, they wake up at 5 in the morning and they sit from 5 to 8 with their coffee, they're quiet and they get like so much done. That would never be me. Like I'm never up at 5 in the morning ever.
Either.
But it's so annoying. But when I have like this burst of mental energy is legit from 3 to 6. My kids are out. That's my and it's so hard for me because I'm like, I gotta get to my computer and like I have all these ideas. And like it's not the same at 10 o'clock at night. It's not the same at 8 o'clock at night. It's not the
Right.
same at 10 o'clock in the morning. I don't know why, but for whatever reason, like, and I know people say like, hey, in 10, 20 years when my kids are out of the house, like that'll be like my prime time. But right now it's just not for whatever
Right.
reason.
Well, one thing Kaya said last night is that this time goes so quickly, and you feel
Right.
like it's forever right now, but it's
Right.
really not.
Right. That's
So it's like it's hard to make the most of it while you're in it.
it's true. It's a good reminder. Like our kids are not in our house forever. And like this is a really an opportune time. And I want to remember that every single day. I really do.
Yeah, it's hard, but it's amazing when like you live it.
Yeah, true. Mindfulness.
Mindful.
Mindful. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Thank you so much for joining us. Could you just tell the listeners where they can find you? Like I want to hear all the platforms where they could get your name and number and contact you and everything.
So I'm on Instagram, Miriam Marciano stylist. That's MiriamMarciano stylist. And I'm also at SammyNewYorkClothing.com. I just started a blog and I have, I think, like 2 blog posts up right now, but there's definitely more to come. It's like, it's also, like I said, like everything is transforming. So I don't know how long it will be under SammyNewYorkClothing.com, but for now it's there. So that's SAMINY.clothing. Wait, yeah, no, SAMINY clothing.com. Yeah.
And I'll put all that in the show notes. And if it changes, I'll change it.
Yeah, and that's like all the Sammy clothing is up there. We're gonna have a mega sale very soon, and new like gorgeous hoodies and skirts are coming up, and then my blog, and it's also I'm not sure if my email's on there, but I mean, if you don't have Instagram and you don't go on the website, you can also reach me at mymarciano@gmail if you have any questions. Like Mary Y Marciano@gmail.
Okay. That's all. If that's how people can reach you if they want to work like one-on-one with you.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you also like do events like where your newest thing that we're working on is like doing events.
Yeah, no, it's like it's amazing. I have an event coming up in November, the Women's Night Out, and then a
So
couple of
excited.
other. I need to like sit down and create like I don't know what it's going to be, but it's going to be like some type of like mini fun like course where like I go through the motions of like what I do, and it's going to be educational and fun and like interesting. So I need to create that and get that.
Awesome. I
Yeah.
can't wait. Okay, reach out to Miriam. She's amazing. I used her personally and I love her and she has so much positive energy and
Gila's
It's so
amazing.
much fun.
Your podcast, but like I need to turn this around and say like you are so smart, and I'm so grateful for the time that we were supposed to have the podcast, but like it ended up being a therapy session. It was life changing. So
Mm. Well, thank you. Thank you so much. For those of you who are listening who are therapists, I'm not a trained therapist. I just have to say that. Okay. Okay. Bye, Miriam. Thank you so much.
comes naturally. Okay, bye.
Bye.